Hey, rookies, here we are. We are at the conference championship. We got two games going on Super Sunday. Last week I was 2-2 on my picks. I missed on a couple. Jeff, how'd you do last week?
So I did well. I was 2-0 on my premium picks. But my just total against the spread was an even 2-2. I was a little surprised with the tightness of the San Francisco game. That did catch me off guard. But overall, it was a good weekend.
Yeah, what'd you think about the San Francisco's inability to kind of generate offense there for a couple quarters without Debo Samuels in the game?
So without Debo hurt them, and I do think Brock Purdy struggled with the wet ball. I love the little meme and just the video clip of him actually drying his hand mid-play after he took the snap, holding it with one hand, drying his hand off and throwing the ball. He was struggling. So I was watching for the weather report this week because I think he's got the second smallest hands of all quarterbacks in the league. And the wet ball, cold weather did affect him.
Yeah, no, those wet balls can affect you. I mean, even if you got big hands. But yeah, he does. His hands are not they're not like Drew Brees' hands, even though he's kind of a shorter quarterback. Drew Brees had huge hands and could cover any ball at any time. Um, I think the key is the offense came back to life for San Francisco in that fourth quarter, and they started to figure out their spacing. For some reason, through the second and third quarter, it appeared to me that they had lost their spacing without Debo on the field. It looks like Debo is going to be able to play, but that concerns me, Jeff. Does that concern you at all with the Lions defense and how well they're playing and getting after the quarterback?
Not as much with a week to prepare. I think it took them those 2 quarters to adjust to him being out. So I think they prepared this week for the possibility of him not playing. And I think they'll be better prepared to handle it.
All right, well, let's kick off the first game. We got a 3 o'clock game on Sunday with the Chiefs and the Ravens. Ravens are favored by 3.5. The over/under is 44 and a hook. The Chiefs kind of muddled their way into into this conference championship game on the missed field goal by Buffalo, and really Buffalo had a couple of shots to win and should have really covered that game last week, but did not. Meanwhile, Baltimore just really handled business. You won. Congratulations to you for your first half pick. That was a monster first half win. Basically taking the Texans, and it was 10-10, and then Baltimore just opened up. So what did you take from that Baltimore game that you're going to bring forward?
Well, part of that 10-10 tie was a punt return. So their defense had shut them down the entire game. That defense is legit. I do see why they're actually strength of schedule and point differential, the strongest team overall since 2015. This is a really good team, especially defensively. So I think this is going to be a low scoring game, especially the fact that they'll stop the run and the receivers for Kansas City are just not very reliable.
They're not. I mean, they had a lot of drops. They had a lot of drops in that game last week against the Bills. They really got lucky with the win, but their defense has held up. How do you think that Chiefs defense is going to hold up against the Ravens offense? Are they going to be able to contain? Are they going to be able to put a spy on Lamar Jackson and hold him down, or do you think that he's going to get loose like he did against the Texans?
Well, I'm not sure about Gay being available this week. When he got hurt last week against Buffalo, that's when Josh Allen started to run the ball because they weren't able to spy on him. So if he's not ready to go, I think Jackson can really do some damage this week. And I haven't seen any update on him with that neck injury. If he can't play, that's really going to hamper the Kansas City defense. But they did in the fourth quarter adjust and shut the Bills down. So I still think they'll be a formidable defense.
Yeah, so that 44.5, Jeff, you think that's going to stay where it is? It's going to be way under, going to be close.
I'm going under. That's my thought. So I think it will probably move a little bit lower before Sunday. And I would jump on it now if you want to bet the points.
Yeah, so I've been hanging out here in Pennsylvania for the last week, and that field is going to be soaked. It has rained in Mid Atlantic area for the last 3 days. It's wet. It's not gonna be freezing, but it's gonna be wet. I think it'll be dried out by game or I don't think there's going to be any rain for game time, but that field's still going to be wet from. Now I know they've got the best fields in the world, but I would expect that will be still an impact on the game. So you're going Baltimore or Kansas City, Jeff?
I'm going Baltimore straight up, but this is a pick 'em game for me, and they've got a 3-point spread, so I'm going Kansas City with the points, and I'm going
Kansas City
under.
on the spread and the
Yeah.
spread under.
Yep.
This is a tough one for me. I have my doubts on a lot of other issues surrounding the game. So this is not a strong pick, but I am going to go Baltimore, both to win and cover, and I like the under. So there you go, rookies. There's our picks. Next up, we got the 7 o'clock game. No, 6:30 game. We got the Lions traveling to the 49ers. Weather at game time is going to be pretty much perfect. It doesn't look like you're going to have the rain that they had last week in that Packers game. I see right now 7 as the spread. 49ers favored by 7, and the over-under at 51 and a hook. Boy, the 49ers got lucky last week, Jeff. What'd you think about that game?
They certainly got lucky. I was impressed with Green Bay. It makes me feel a little better about the Dallas loss to them because they were able to match the 49ers on the line of scrimmage. So that was impressive. I think the weather and the 2-week layoff affected the 49ers offense in addition to Deebo Samuel's being injured. So all of those things should resolve themselves somewhat this week. I think the offense will be much better.
Sorry about that. I just had a little tickle in the throat. Yeah, I actually turned the game off in the third quarter. I thought the Packers had pulled off the upset when they were down by 10, and so I turned that game off. So I was very disappointed with the 49ers. I lost. I put a couple bills on that one, and I thought that was a sure thing. I did not like that game whatsoever, the outcome, and I don't know that I trust Brock Purdy in the playoffs right now. So I am leaning towards Detroit. Well, let's analyze Detroit's game. So they pretty much handled business, but they did give the Tampa Bay an opportunity, and then Baker threw the pick, and then that sealed it. So what do you think about that Lions game, and what did you learn from that game coming into this game?
So Detroit has played a number of really close games down the stretch. I don't think there's going to be any separation in this game if they're up. So they will give San Francisco a chance to come back and win. I also noticed that their left guard is out and their center is questionable. And if their middle of the offensive line is compromised, I think Goff is going to struggle because the running game is not going to be as strong and he's going to have pressure in his face. So that's another reason I'm thinking San Francisco rebounds this week and looks more like the San Francisco of earlier in the season.
Now, how did Shanahan play against? Was he the coach of the 49ers when Goff was in LA? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at that because I mean, besides Stafford, I think Matt Stafford is the best play action quarterback in the league right now, but I think Jared Goff is number 2. And so if that middle cannot get the running game going, which, hey, look, that's what the Packers did last week. They ran Aaron Jones and they ran the football against the 49ers. So not only did I lose the bet, I also lost the prop bet with Aaron Jones getting over 60, I think it was 69 yards, whatever, whenever I picked it up. I think it might have got down to 67. So if they can't run the football, then it's going to be a long day for the Lions. So I would offer.
Remember, Shanahan and LaFleur were on the same coaching staff in Washington. So those were two coaches that knew each other. This is going to be a little different.
Okay. So this is less personal then as the last one was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how do you account for the coach effect on this Lions team, this grit that this team has in every game this year? I mean, they've been in every game and won some close ones and lost some close ones. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Yeah, they're almost always in a close game, and that grit pushes them through in most cases. And I love the coach. I think he's awesome. I love his personality. And I'd like to see him win, but I think when they're actually physically outmanned, that's going to stop. They're eventually going to hit the wall. If they're down double digits late in a game where it's win or go home, I think that might wane at the end of this game.
Okay. So who are you going with this week in San Fran?
So this one, I'm going with San Fran to win and to cover the points. I think they bounce back and they look like the team we've seen most of the year.
What do you think about the total? How do you see that going down?
I do think this will be higher scoring than San Francisco's last game. I think they'll rebound, and I think Detroit will find a way to score, but this one, the point spread was right in line with what I was estimating. So I might just stay away from the points because it was within 1.5 of where I thought it would end up.
Yeah, I'm staying away from the total here. I don't like my bet because I'm going with you, Jeff. I think 49ers are going to win and cover. That's what it says. But I got to bring it up. I mean, that would mean that the meme would win. That would predict the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. And how do we account for that? I mean, we try to stick with the analytics, but what is the messaging if that happens, Jeff? How does the league react? How do the fans react if we have a Baltimore 49ers Super Bowl?
It has surprised me as that the meme has really become so prevalent on social media, talking about the Baltimore San Fran Super Bowl that was predicted at the beginning of the season. If the NFL wanted to avoid that meme, I do think a call here or there in the Baltimore-Kansas City game could tilt it easier than the San Francisco-Detroit game. So if anything, I would lean more towards Kansas City being able to break the meme than Detroit.
Yeah. So I'm going with you, Jeff. I'm taking the 49ers over the points and to win. And I too am staying away from the total. I think it's right at the line. So I'm picking Baltimore. I'm picking the meme. You're picking the meme. The only difference we have is that you're picking San Fran with the points. This is just a tough one to swallow for me. 3 years in a row that they picked the Super Bowl, two teams in the Super Bowl. That's just tough for me to wrap my head around. So I am tentatively betting this week as opposed to weeks where I felt more confident. And I'll give you the last word, Jeff.
Well, I will say that the divisional round the past 2 years has been my strongest week, followed by weeks 2, 3, and 4. So my strength of bets seem to be divisional round and in the early part of the season. Conference championships, I did pretty well last year, but it was close, and I think this is going to be close again. So I'm not going to say it's a lock, but definitely I feel strong about San Francisco. I would lean towards Mahomes being able to pull out magic, if anything, if an upset were to happen.
Yeah. All right, rookies, you heard it here. You got our thoughts. We broke down the games for you. Good luck. I think I think we do have four of the 6 really good teams left. I would love to see a new team like the Lions make it to the Super Bowl and win. I think that's going to be a tough road for the Lions to do that. And a Baltimore or Chiefs 49ers matchup is kind of a classic matchup that we've seen in the past and would really bring the fans in. So good luck, and Jeff will give you the last word.
Well, I'm just looking forward to the Super Bowl because I think whichever team between Kansas City and Baltimore wins, I think I'm going AFC this year. So I'll feel more confident in the Super Bowl than I do this week.
Okay. And remember, rookies, we're not going to be here for whatever they're calling this thing in Honolulu. We're not betting on that. And we'll be back the following week for the Super Bowl podcast. Good luck. See you in 2 weeks.